started to laugh. A deep, wheezing Peckham laugh. It was Mickey Pierce, Rodney. I could hear the jukebox. He thought he could wind me up, but nobody winds up Derek Trotter. He stood up, adjusting his cuffs. We're the Trotters, Rodney. We don't need charity. We're back in business. New management, new ideas. This time next year. Rodney sighed, but he couldn't help but smile. We'll be millionaires? No, Del said, throwing an arm around his brother's shoulder. This time next year, we'll be debt-free. And that, Rodney, is bonjour. It's bonjour, Del, Rodney corrected. Exactly what I said. Prove exactly what I said. The neon sign of the Nags had flickered in the distance, a beacon of hope in the heart of Peckham. The Trotters were down, but they were never out. Because as long as there was a deal to be made and a brother to blame, the dream would never die. Chapter 8. The Cold Light of Day. The following morning did not bring the clarity Del Boy had hoped for. Instead, it brought a pounding headache and the lingering suspicion that he might have made a catastrophic tactical error. He sat at the formica table in the kitchen, nursing a mug of tea that was mostly sugar. Rodney stumbled in, looking disheveled. Del, Rodney said, his voice flat. I've been thinking about that phone call last night. Forget it, Rodney. Del snapped. Mickey Pierce, professional wind-up merchant, probably recorded the whole thing to play at the pub later. Low D toilet. Rodney. Water under the bridge. Del, I went to the pub this morning to get some milk because the fridge is on the blink again. And Mickey Pierce was there. He looked as miserable as a rainy Tuesday in Margate. Apparently, his latest business ventures selling laser-cut toast just failed. He didn't even have enough credit on his phone to make a prank call. Del froze, his mug halfway to his lips. What? And there's more. Sid showed me the morning paper. There's a small headline on page 12. Game show blunder. BBC apologizes to Peckham contestant over classical music gaffe. The silence in the kitchen was heavy. You could hear the distant rumble of the 171 bus and the slow, rhythmic dripping of the leaky tap. So, Del whispered, his voice barely audible. It wasn't Mickey. It was the producer. Del, you told the BBC to give £50,000 to charity in the name of the Trotters. Del Boy put his mug down. He stared at the wall, at the framed picture of their mother. Well, he said, his voice suddenly bright and brittle. At least we'll get a plaque, or a mention in the newsletter. It's tax deductible, ain't it? We don't pay tax, Del. We're bankrupt, Rodney shouted. Details, Rodney. Details. Del stood up, pacing the small kitchen. This is just a temporary setback. A minor hiccup in the grand tapestry of Trotter fortunes. We're under new management. Remember, Managing Director Rodney Trotter. What's our first move, boss? Rodney looked at the pile of unpaid bills on the counter. Our first move is to find something to sell. Something that doesn't involve the Sultan of Brunei or the BBC. Chapter 9: The Electronic Revolution. Rodney's first official act as managing director was to meet with Monkey Harris. Monkey was a man who lived up to his name short, agile, and always looking for a way to climb a bit higher on the social ladder. He met Rodney in the back of a van parked behind the Nag's Head. "I've got a consignment." Rodney, Monkey whispered, opening a cardboard box. "Electronic personal organizers. Top of the range. They tell the time, store 500 names, and have a built-in calculator. They're selling like crazy in the West End." Rodney picked one up. It was a sleek, black plastic device that looked like something from a low-budget sci-fi movie. "How much?" "For you. A tenner apiece. I've got 200 of them." Rodney calculated. 200 at £10 was 2,000. If they sold them for 30, that was for £1,000 profit. It wasn't 50,000, but it was a start. "I'll take them," Rodney said, trying to sound executive. "But I'll need to pay in installments. Cash flow. You understand?" Monkey nodded. "I understand. Cash flow is the soul of business. I'll drop them off at Nelson Mandela House tonight." When Rodney returned to the flat, he found Del Boy trying to fix the washing machine with a bent coat hanger. "Good news, Del. I've secured our first inventory. Electronic personal organizers. The future of business. We're going to modernize Peckham, one address book at a time." Del looked at the device. "Electronic organizers. People round here can barely organize a trip to the toilet. Rodney, who's going to buy these?" "Everyone. Busy professionals, students, anyone who needs to stay on top of their game. It's executive stress management, Del, chic." "HMM," Del said, his eyes narrowing. "They look a bit plastic. Are they waterproof?" "Why would they need to be waterproof?" "In case it rains on the market stall. Rodney, think avoirdupois." Chapter 10: Iconoclastic Autosuggestion. While the business world was being revolutionized by plastic organizers, the domestic world of the Trotters was entering the realm of fantasy therapy. Cassandra had insisted. After the stress of the bankruptcy and the game show disaster, she felt their relationship needed a reboot. She had found a book by an American psychologist who spoke of memory baggage and the need to create our own make-believe world. Iconoclastic autosuggestion. Rodney explained to Del Boy while they were sorting the organizers. It's about rejecting reality and becoming different people. Just for an evening. "Sounds like what I've been doing for 40 years, Rodney," Del quipped. "What's the catch?" "We write down our fantasy figures, and then we become them. No dressing up. It's all in the mind." But, as with everything in the Trotter household, The no dressing up rule was the first to go.